Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. There we go. So it's a basically the cover of a Time magazine, and it says
Yeah.
"Must it go on?" And
Yeah.
behind barbed wire fence,
Mm-hmm.
the main guy standing there looks extremely emaciated, very skinny,
Yeah.
barely holding on to his jeans. He's not wearing a shirt.
Yeah.
Surrounded by other guys not wearing shirts.
Yeah.
Must it go on? Okay, I'm gonna let you take it from here.
Well, yeah, it's a magazine of, the time period in Bosnia. I'm not sure where that was taken. I think possibly a concentration camp,
Hmm.
possibly Omarska camp. I wanna ask something of, your listeners. Why is it like when we watch the news, there's always emphasis on death, on like something bad? Why don't we have some more engaging platform to find solutions for suffering? For example, why is it that I mean, not that I know of anyways, um there's no way out for like a concentration camp? Has anybody figured that out, right? If a concentration camp, is there a way to escape a concentration camp? Is there any method for example, Chernobyl in Ukraine? Is there any method to, for example, help people with, poisoning, like from nuclear site? Is there any way to speed up the science and research and development of such horrifying, situations? I like taking like extreme situations and then just like thinking, how can we solve this, or how can we
Hmm.
simplify this? I see a lot of like unused potential, you know what I mean? Because the days pass by, weeks, months, years, and what really, like, think about how much time is spent. People criticize themselves, each other. They're like, oh, I can't do this. Like, what if we spent all of those hours and, days on coming up with solutions that nobody thinks we can solve, as opposed to engaging in negative thinking? No, I'm just saying, like, it's a possibility. It's like a way to, think
Sure.
about things. Even stock markets. I'm not just talking about like war and, terrible situations. Stock markets, learn things as in terms of like how to solve an economic collapse or something. I'm going off on a tangent here, but what I'm trying to say is, I think there are like so many options and ideas and possibilities that we could, engage in, that we really don't pay a lot of attention to.
Okay. Well, that was a lot,
Yeah.
and and look, we're having a conversation, so I'm going to respond, and as I'm speaking to you, there's this cover of could be a detention
I
camp or a
know. I
concentration
know.
camp. It's
Yeah.
probably, yeah. I mean, these,
Yeah.
and there, so it's all men behind this barbed wire fence, looking pretty emaciated and looking pretty. It's a pretty
Mhm.
intense image, obviously, if it's on the cover of Time.
Yeah.
So I can only answer to you in terms of
Mm.
my response to what you've said, right? Like,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
so one of the guests I had on the podcast wrote this book
Mm.
called Design in Nature, and he's like
Mm.
a thermodynamic engineer. And so
Mm-hmm.
what he found was, and I thought like the principle was quite fascinating, was this idea that
Mm.
things kind of just flow, like ideas flow, people flow,
Mm-hmm.
money flows,
Yeah.
everything kind of flows according
Yeah.
to certain patterns, right? And so in a
Yeah.
similar
For
way,
sure.
if we look at news, right, why is
Yeah.
news always so negative? It's because in a way our brains respond more in terms of urgency and in terms of reaction to negative news, right? So when we see something negative, we have a kind of fight or flight response, which then,
Yeah.
I mean, to be blunt, I mean, to put it starkly, the news profits
Yeah.
from, because they're a business. So,
Yeah.
like, Time
Mm-hmm.
uses this really dramatic photo because Time wants to sell magazines, because is ultimately a company
Yeah.
made to make money, and their
Yeah.
model is to inform people about pretty intense situations, right? So,
Yeah, for sure.
there are outlets, I guess, for aspirational, inspiring content,
Not many. Not
yeah,
many.
like
I
this
will say that.
podcast,
Not many.
this one little dinky podcast, So, but yeah, like it is kind of interesting in terms of how can we. Okay, so how do you inspire? So let's talk about your books. Okay, so you're
Yeah.
as an author, how do you turn telling a story into a is it that is you are you looking are you yourself in your books trying to create aspirational responses?
I try to spread creativity, beauty, and love. That's my
Mm,
goal. That's that like I'm trying to make a revolution. I know maybe that sounds
beautiful.
like a bit yeah, it sounds a little bold and far-fetched possibly for some people listening to this, but um I'm a bold person, so you only live once, right?
Okay, the title of your first book and then the title of your last book, most
Mm,
recent book. How's that?
okay. My first book was called A Candid Aim. It's an anagram of my name, my first and last name. You rearrange and you get A
Okay,
Candid Aim, which basically means like an honest goal. That if you want to just
nice.
explain that, an honest goal. My last book was, oh my god, I have to check
There are
because
more, a
I'm
hundred.
I know I'm working on a new book, so it's like, I don't want to confuse. Oh yeah, so this one is called Have You Ever Felt Trapped?
Wow.
And obviously you can understand where I'm coming from in terms of
Hmm.
writing that. Yeah,
Michigan.
it's oh my god. Nice. Yeah, Michigan in winter. Oh man, that's just a doozy. Yeah. I
Okay, so
yeah.
let's jump in.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dive in. This is fantastic. This is great. Okay, so
Mhm.
where did this impulse to write? So okay, if we think about
Mhm.
Adrian Bejan, who wrote that book about the flows of energy and where people go and everything. So your brain chemistry, your
Mhm.
experience, your who you
Mhm.
are as a person, flowed your
Mhm.
talents towards and your how you spend every not every but how you spend your energy and wakefulness and the seconds of your life towards writing.
Mhm.
So at
Mhm.
what age did writing manifest as an outlet that really satisfied an impulse for you?
A great question. I would say probably like I started reading Emily Dickinson at age
Hmm.
9, around there. I was a very serious kid in that way. Like I was super ambitious.
That hasn't changed too
Um
much, I don't think.
no, no it hasn't. It's just like it's been linear in that way, but well, I started writing like all of these, journals like for these books. Mm, November 2013.
That's a very specific date.
I know. I know. Yeah, I started writing like 2 weeks before my 23rd birthday. I actually I made a smoothie one day, a fruit smoothie.
I
No,
love this story.
I swear to God, I drank a smoothie and then I was like, I have a vision. I just started writing. I swear, like I'm not kidding about this.
It was chia seeds and mango. That's where it came from. I love it.
No, no, it was just like, although that's a good flavor, but I smoothies are where it's at for real. But
Yep.
yeah, I just felt the need, like the quote, I felt the need for speed. Well, I felt the need to write. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you have did you take? creative writing classes, or I mean, because
No.
it's like that, the urge to sit and to create a story and then put it out and then develop it and then publish
Hmm.
it. I mean, wow, it's like you're so prolific.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of like that drive
Hmm.
to finish
Hmm.
is like how, like I'm kind of like, where did that come from? But also like, how are your parents? How do they instill, like, where does that kind of motivation come from?
Yeah, nobody instilled this in me. Well, okay, here's the thing. When I was 11 years old, I went to visit Bosnia, specifically Sarajevo, and I saw buildings like literally split in half. I don't know. I think I've said this somewhere in an interview, or in a book or something, but that was probably the most, yeah, or one of the most important experiences of my life, because I
Well,
saw,
11.
yeah, 11 years old, I saw buildings literally split in half, and people just, I could see them crying. It was directly after, the war as well. And it was tragic, it was horrifying. But my takeaway from that was that I would never do drugs. I would never be
Okay.
destructive. I know it's like, whoa, where did that come from? But yeah,
Hmm.
and that stayed with me. I
Okay.
avoided negative people, negative things, like my entire life. I just avoid it. And anytime I see myself being negative in some way, in terms of just, thought process,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, whoa, whoa, all right, let's back it up here. It's been like a sort of like guidance for me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like a light in my
Mm-hmm.
mind. And I like researching, people who are successful, looking up like how they think, what they do, how they communicate with other people, like how they spend their, life, like,
Mm-hmm.
how they live, right? And it's a great and powerful source of motivation.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
And hopefully, this podcast, by letting people listen to you
Yeah.
and hear how you speak, and and also how you work and operate, will themselves be motivated, because it's fascinating, it's inspiring. But wow,
Yeah. Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, that was an extraordinary experience. Like, I literally
Mm.
felt goosebumps. Like, I remember that experience, very vividly. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember telling my mom, I'm like, my life has changed completely. Like, I was one way before, that moment. I guess you could just label it a moment. And then afterwards, I'm like, all right, wow, wow, wow. Like, I remember just thinking,
Mm-hmm.
wow,
Mm-hmm.
like I discovered a new planet or something. Like, it was,
Well, it's
yeah,
it's interesting because the phrase you used was, "I saw a building split in half."
yeah,
Like, it's kind of like that so shatters
hmm,
your understanding, because I mean, a building is meant to be your home, is meant to be a place of safety,
yeah,
and then when the whole thing itself is split, I mean, it's so symbolic and dramatic.
yeah, definitely. I just want to say something else. When I came back from Bosnia, that was summertime. I turned on the TV. It's like right around the time when, I came back, and
Hmm.
I saw the Oprah Winfrey show. Like, of all things,
Hmm.
like, I saw Oprah. I love Oprah. I think everybody on the planet's like, yeah, woo, go Oprah. But I saw her show, and I saw Liz Marie on the show. And Liz Marie was like, she was homeless. She had parents who were drug addicts, and she made it to Harvard, and she graduated with a New York Times scholarship. She changed her life. Like, she
Hmm.
wrote a New York Times best-selling book. I think it's called Breaking Night. She made, I think, a company called Manifest Living. She was a teacher, motivational speaker. She became a mom. She became a wife. I don't know. I don't want to do her a disservice. Maybe you should look her up, Liz Murray, because maybe there's something else. Like she does a lot of stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, but
Sure.
I mean, she came from like nothing, essentially, you know? Like,
Mm-hmm.
can you imagine her intellect, willpower, creativity, resourcefulness, work ethic? Like, the woman is just like heroic, really. So,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
and clearly was a signature moment for you to kind of, because you're in a way you're ready when you came back from your trip.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like you were ready to see that episode
Oh,
and to
yeah.
have it kind of inspire and change your life so much that we're talking about it today.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's gonna stay like in my mind like permanently. Like, there's no
Oh
way
wow.
because I see her as like somebody that's unreal. That's the way she affected me. She's just unreal. It's like a
Hmm.
bright aura around her, like a light. And I
Okay.
know that maybe that sounds like a bit too much for some people, but
Nope. Nope.
she really had that much of a positive impact on me. She really did.
Right.
I wish I could thank her some way for that, in person. Yeah.
Well, hopefully you'll inspire the same thing in a listener, right?
Oh, you're so
Wouldn't that be
sweet.
nice?
Yeah, that would be great. Oh my god, thank you. Thank you.
Well, let's move on to the next photo then.
Okay.
So, is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So, if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes, shooting it raw.